and welcome to Preface, the special series of interviews conducted on the sidelines of the International Book Fair of Algiers, Sila 2025. Today we'll be talking about how stories or how local stories travel, how the writers, translators and editors help literary movement go into global and broader conversations. Today I am happy and honored to have with me Mrs. Eva Orúe, current director of the Madrid Book Fair, a cultural manager and journalist with decades of experience in press, radio and television, and also in programming major literary events. Ms. Orúe, thank you for joining us at Sila and welcome to Algiers.
Thank you for your invitation. I'm very happy to be here.
A pleasure. So, Ms. Eva, this is your first participation in the Algiers International Book Fair, Sila. What motivated you to come and how do you perceive the theme of this year's edition, the book A Crossroads of Cultures?
I was invited by the Spanish Cervantes Institute, and when the Spanish Institute says you have to come, you have to go, you go.
Yes.
Because they are doing a wonderful work all over the world, and if I can help, I'll be happy to do so. So the theme of this edition, it fits perfectly with not just what the Madrid Book Fair is, but with what the industry, the publishing industry is. We are at crossroads, we put people in contact, we are happy to build bridges that can help people to know each other.
Indeed, it is. So from your perspective, what are the key differences and perhaps similarities between the Madrid Book Fair and Sila in Algiers?
We are surrounded by books and authors and publishers. In Madrid, the book fair belongs to the to the bookshoppers. So they are my bosses, and the ones that organize the fair in collaboration with publishers and distributors. The main difference is that we are a commercial book fair and that we are in a park, open air.
Yes.
So if it rains, and we are there working. If it's sunny, it's sunny. And the book, the power of the book, the power of the authors, and above all, the power of the readers is that they don't care about the weather. They come and they enjoy of the books and the activities that we propose them.
So you are the first woman to direct the Madrid Book Fair.
Yeah.
It is one of the most important fairs in Europe, of course. How has this role shaped your understanding of literature's power to connect people?
I would say that it was weird that no women was before in my position, because a lot of readers are women. In Spain, women read much more than men. Publishers, booksellers, I keep saying librarians because in Spanish we say libreros, booksellers, but also translators. The position of the woman in the book industry is very, very important. So why not a woman in front of the Madrid Book Fair? So that's it. I'm there. I have been there for 4 editions, and now we are trying to open the doors. In some years, there will be younger people, or maybe someone born outside Spain. So the idea is that we have to open our society, to open our fair, and to think that the book is a comprehensive world. And we, women, men, foreigners, people born in Spain, we are all together working for the authors to reach the readers, and that's our work, whatever our gender or our origin.
So you said you've been working there for 4 years now.
Yeah.
How do you assess each year and how do you assess the development of the fair each year?
Well, the fair is what it is. I mean, we're in a park which is a World Heritage. We cannot touch a lot of things, the trees, for example, and this means that we cannot be bigger and bigger each year. We are the book that we are. We try to change things with the activities, with the themes that around the themes that we build the fair every year, and above all, bringing those readers. 17 days in the open air, 1,100,000 visitors. I will say 11 million euros sold. Is not bad, but we cannot be much bigger because we are in a park. We have to keep that park. As a matter of fact, for me, taking care of the readers and the writers and the exhibitors and taking care of the park is almost the same work.
It is indeed. Earlier today, you had a conference with the EU delegation, the EU delegation stand. It was themed how to make national literature European literature. Could you tell us more about the theme itself and the challenges that you had, or let's say you mentioned earlier, and the role of translators and editors that you are, they play in this theme?
The Madrid Book Fair is not an international book fair, so we don't have publishers from other countries, but we have authors from other countries.
Yes.
They come because their books are translated already in Spanish. Now, since 1922, we have a European pavilion. The promoter is the European Commission in Spain. And what do we do in this pavilion? So we talk above all about translation, because we know that being Europeans and members of the European Union, we share a tradition, a cultural tradition, but we don't share a language. So without the translators, we won't be able of reading the Polish authors or the Italian authors. That's why the translators are so important for us, because they are the people that open for us the doors and the windows of other literatures. And we need them. And we have to take care of them. Yes. And in this pavilion, we work very hard with them in order to, en français, on dirait mettre en valeur. Hein? I don't know how to say that in English, but we have to, everybody has to be conscient that when we read a work from a Polish author in Spain, there is someone in the middle that has translated this work. Everybody knows that this is a translation, but nobody or not everybody thinks on the work of this translator.
We are talking about translation. We often describe it as both a bridge and reinvention. So from your experience with translation and translators, do they create a new text, let's say, or the new text from the book, or do they faithfully rebuild the original for the readers?
Yeah. I was invited by the Instituto Cervantes. Cervantes wrote a wonderful book called Don Quixote.
Yes.
Don Quixote is the same, hasn't changed since the 17th century. But the translations, they have changed always. So the original work is always the same. The translations have to be changed every now and then. And this is a very difficult balance to be kept, but the translators have the duty of doing it, because the only way of translating all these masterpieces is to understand not just the original, but the public that they are going to read. They are going to read it now.
Yes. Any translators you've worked with recently who changed the way you see a book?
I won't say any particular name, but I have been working with some of them, and the translation is a different book from the original. There's just one original, but 22 or 100 translations, which are different works. Nowadays, a lot of authors ask to work with the translators in order to be sure that there
the
is
same idea is translated.
That the book is not lost in the process. But I think that we have to trust them, because they know not just the language of the origin of the original work, but above all the readers that are going to read this book. So translators are a very important piece of the system, and I insist in this idea: without translators, the European culture will not travel. The authors will come to Spain, but their books need the translators to be in our fair.
So is that the only solution, or can there be any solutions to have the translated piece exactly as the original one?
I don't know if the translation has to be exact. I'm
But
not
to have the
sure
same
about
idea.
that. The idea, of course, the style, of course. But when you translate some expressions, for example, you have to be faithful to the original, and at the same time make that understandable for your readers. It's a very difficult work. Very difficult, and sometimes they don't do a good work, but the majority of times I think that we can trust them. I have been, for example, I know a person who translates from the Russian. So she began to translate a book, and suddenly she said, well, listen, this edition in Spanish, I don't know, the 1950 something, there is a paragraph missed. So our suspicion, the translator that did the work in 1950 something, he didn't have all the possibilities of translating. So he forgot this intentionally. I don't know how to do it, let's forget. Now you cannot do that. You can improve the translation because you have a lot of tools to work. And that's the work, to keep your work, your translation, faithful to the original, but to adapt it every time and to make it better than the previous translators did it.
You've mentioned that the author does not, or let's say is not the owner of the book. Can you elaborate that idea for our viewers?
What I say is that the author doesn't write a book. The author writes a text.
Yes.
The book is a different thing. It's not just
a process.
Yeah, it's a big process. A big process with a lot of professionals.
Yes.
So I am a writer. I have written some books, but I have my text and I give it to a publisher. And the publisher reads it and says, okay, we will publish it or not. But then there is someone that's going to correct the text, to translate the text, to put it into the pages. We can choose someone to do the cover or to do the illustration, the designer. And finally, there is a distributor who will bring this book to a bookshop and a bookshopper who is going to recommend your book.
Yes.
And now, yes, it's a book and the reader is receiving a book.
Yes.
But what you, as a writer, you give to your publisher is still a text. It's very important, essential, but it's not a book.
Yes. Since you're a Spanish writer and author and journalist, Spain and Algeria share deep historical and cultural ties. In your view, how can cultural literature further strengthen the cultural bridge between Algeria and Spain?
I would say that you don't need to do anything very special. If I read the work of an Algerian author, I will understand a little bit better what Algeria is and what the Algerians feel or do. And I would say that this is enough. So what we need is to have the Algerian books in Spain translated in order to understand and knowing better your country. And it works on the other side. If you receive the books from the Spanish authors and you read what the Spaniards are writing, and how do we feel, how we work in some fields, you are going to understand us much better. That's the bridge, to live the others' lives through literature.
And do you see more opportunities for translations and collaborations between Algerians and Spanish people in the near future?
I hope so. There is a part which is political, cultural, political. We have to see what is being published in Algeria, and you have to see what it is being published in Spain in order to choose, let's say. But above all, it's because we are closer thanks to new technologies. So if there is a reader or a group of readers that think that a Spanish author could be interested in Algeria, he can say it in the net, for example, in the social networks, and some publisher in Algeria will hear that and will publish the book. Or in Spain, we can do exactly the same. So there is the interest of the readers and then the business, because this is a business that has to think that there is an opportunity in the translation or in this selling books of each other country.
So how visible is the Mediterranean voice, Algerian, African and Arab, how visible it is to the European literary landscape?
I'm not an expert in literature. I'm an expert in organizing ferias, which is not exactly the same thing. I would say that we don't know very well what is being written in the south rim of the Mediterranean Sea. Sometimes the authors come from other countries, Italy, above all France. We receive information about writers that are having success in France, and then the Spanish publishers say, let's have a look. Yes. But not directly, and I think this is a pity. I think that we should
be done to have this cultural exchange become more valuable, more visible to European countries.
I guess that the people of the book, we should work on that.
Yes.
But there is an interesting thing that is happening in Spain. In other countries, European countries, have been happening for a long time, is that we have the first or the second generation of some immigrants that are becoming writers in our language. And they are able to write and to keep our attention and to say, hey, Spaniards, you have to look at Algeria because they are already in Spain and they know Spanish readers much better than I do. And I hope that this mix will help us to know each other much better.
So when we speak about languages, we've seen many, or let's say more young Algerian writers and readers choosing English. From the European side, does writing directly in English, or let's say reading in English, help local languages be stronger, or let's say be the stronger route?
This is a very difficult question because obviously if I write in English, I will find much more people able to read what I write. Okay. But I think that it happens also for the stories. Local is universal in literature. And we know wonderful authors that are writing in very strange languages spoken by very few people. And nevertheless, they arrive to big audiences. So I would say you have to write in the language that the story needs and in the language you are going to feel comfortable. We have big authors. Joseph Conrad, he was Polish, but Polish or Ukrainian in that time, but he wrote in English because he felt that English was the language he needed for his stories. But if you feel that, don't do it because of the business, do it because the story you are writing needs this voice. And this voice is just English, just French, or just Spanish. But if the voice is in Arabic, do it in Arabic. Because if you are not sincere, the story will not be the same.
Yes, indeed, it is. And finally, before we wrap up, if you could recommend one Spanish author for the Algerian readers that they should discover, who would it be and why?
This is really difficult. First, because I don't know if the director of the Madrid Book Fair has to recommend anyone in particular. I would say that we have very good young readers, women. And this is relevant. We have very good writers, men as well. But it's relevant because they are changing the voices that we are used to read. Because readers are asking, I would say for the first time, stories written by women from the women point of view. So I would say, read Laura Fernandez, read Marta Sanz, read Andrea Abreu, read, I don't know, a lot. They are changing our literature. And I would say something else. If you think about Spanish literature, don't think only about literature written in Spain by Spaniards. Think that we are a big community, over 400 million people, writing, living, feeling in Spanish. So look at as well Argentina, Chile, Mexico, Colombia. There are wonderful things that are being written in those countries right now.
Thank you, Mrs. Eva Orúe, journalist, editor and translator, also the director of the Madrid Book Fair. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
A pleasure. So follow All24 News for more special interviews on the International Book Fair. This was Preface. I am Zahra Farjani. See you next time.